Kelly Jones is here. Kelly, I didn't properly welcome you. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm alright. I'm better than the last time I saw you.
Yeah, I've heard you had trouble getting home that night.
You're a trigger in my life, Kelly, for bad behaviour. I'm blaming it for the last 20 years. You've been at the root of all that trouble.
Well, I'm glad I've been the fire on your match, let's say.
You know what's weird, Kelly? People have been sending us messages all day about this album, what it means to them, and it's quite a mad spectrum from like wedding songs, engagements, like all sorts of stuff. But here's another one that I didn't expect. Right, this guy Tim Ellis has been in touch. Cheers for this, Tim. I once got into trouble with an ex about the Stereophonics album Performance and Cocktails. I'd bought it, but the whole name didn't quite fit on the receipt, so the last word was shortened.
Yeah,
right.
I get it. Yeah.
So suffice to say, she thought I'd bought an explicit movie. Would you like to apologise to Tim Ellis for the trouble?
I do apologise for that, mate. Yeah, no, that's not going to go down well, is it?
It's definitely not. Well, we'll choose our words wisely, shall we?
Okay.
Now, Kelly, listen, you always time your visits as well when Wales have just pumped Scotland.
Yeah, sorry about that as well.
You're on course for a big celebration next weekend.
We got a good weekend coming up. If we beat Ireland, obviously Jack, my wife, is Irish, and it's St Patrick's Day the next day, so it could either be a very, very good weekend or a dire weekend. So.
And it's your little one's birthday.
And this Riley's 3 on their parties on Sunday, so it should be good. And then we're off to make a new album on Monday.
See, Kelly, I've got this vision in my head of all these posh parents turning up for the rockstars kids' birthday party, and you're all banjoed. Well,
it'd probably be a bit of that, yeah. Yeah. My old man's coming up, so hopefully we can have a few before I head off again. Yeah, could be good.
So first day recording the next day, right? Let's take it right back to Performance and Cocktails, and the first bit of recording, maybe that song as well, the starting tune.
Well, Roll Up and Shine was started doing the demos for that in a little studio in Oxford, which Radiohead used to use in Supergrass, and I was really into that, the Prodigy kind of Firestarter and all that, and I always thought that the Keith Flint vocal on that reminded me of Ian Dury and stuff like that, you know. So I wanted to try to kind of really scream that song, and the intro with all the bass and stuff is Richard drunk falling all over his guitar, really. But we used it as a good intro. But that track, you know, is influenced by bands like Pearl Jam, a lot of the American rock. We wanted the album to sound a lot bigger than Word Gets Around, and that was the obvious first track to come on there, really, influenced by a club that Huey from the Fun Loving Criminals told us to go to called Shine in New York, and there was lots of strange people on trapeze naked with pigs' heads on and all sorts of weird stuff going on. So it definitely left a mark, and at the end somebody handed me a business card and it said Shine Performance and Cocktails, and I thought that's the title.
That's the one. That's the one. How old were you at that point, Kelly?
23.
Right, 23. So seeing a lot of the world and sort of having your eyes open to the world at the time.
Well, I was looking at the timeline of it. Word Gets Around was out August 97, and this was in the shops by March 99, so we were recording this on the whole Word Gets Around like world tour, and so I think we were only 22 when we signed, so I guess about 23.
We'll have to give Keith Flint another mention there, because you must have crossed his path quite a lot at the time, festivals and stuff. I mean, what were your recollections of him at that time?
Well, I mean, every festival we played, if we were headlining festivals, you know, we'd always have the 9 till 11, and the Prodigy was always have the one after that, you know, to kind of properly close it. And Keith was a gentleman, really, and we spent lots of times watching them. And we used to always remember their buses just coming in at the last minute, and they do their shows, you know. But they were still headlining all these major festivals all over the world to now, you know.
Yeah.
There's nobody that makes that noise, and Richard did a lot of like bike racing and car racing and stuff like that, because he's into all that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he was a lovely guy every time I met him.
When you played those festivals and they came on after you, you're often probably jumping a bus to go somewhere else. But did you ever stay and watch? And any performances stand out for you? I think it was Switzerland or France maybe, but we were watching them, and what was funny was Keith was on the stage and he's doing all the Firestarter moves and he's going mental. Then he'd come over to the side of the stage and he'd just have a chat to you like he just bumped into in the paper shop, you know. Yeah.
And then he'd go back out there and do his thing. But unbelievable band, unbelievable live band.
We're going to do track 2 in a second, Bartender and the Thief, which in the Stereophonics canon, it's got to be up there for you, hasn't it? Top 3 songs. Yeah,
I mean. That track has got an energy, and you know, you have to remember as well the time that came out. There was a lot of pop records on the radio, like S Club 7 and Steps and all stuff like that. So we were on like SMTV and stuff amongst that, and it was like Motorhead, Ace of Spades coming on the telly, you know. So it was a very different sound, and we went down to the River Kwai to shoot the video and all that with the Thai army, and it was the Apocalypse Now rip-off. So
well, that was it. You know, you were 23 years old in Thailand with your bandmates, Come on, Kelly, how well behaved was that?
That was mental. That was.
Yeah.
It was like 3 days, and it was raining for most. We had to wait for these little pockets of dry to do the shoots.
Yeah.
I just remember us sending these little Thai boys off on scooters to buy bottles of vodka, and then just them coming back like 3 hours later with these drinks. So it was a good time. Stewart was moaning throughout the whole thing because he couldn't stand it because it was too hot and too wet.
Amazing times, right. I should say, if you want to get in touch tonight, talk about performance and cocktails, 83936 and at Radio X. Send a question for Kelly and we'll try our best to squeeze them in as much as we can. Here's something that dates this. We're talking about a 20th anniversary. It reminds me of the PS1, Sony PS1 and Gran Turismo.
Yes. We were on that one.
You were on that, that's why I remember it, yeah.
Well, most of this record, funnily enough, was written while Stewart was trying to take Wales to the World Cup final on FIFA 97 downstairs, and I was upstairs writing Just Looking and Pick Apart the Snow on the Bus. So most of it was written on a tour bus, and we took Wales to the World Cup final a few times. Yeah.
A couple of messages here for you, Kelly. This album, my absolute favourites of all time. Proper soundtrack to my life. Thank you, Kelly. And that's Adam on the M4, who's not breaking any laws. He says his face is melting to the solo in Bartender. And Martin Peters as well. This is lovely. Superb chat, Kelly. Thank you this evening. We didn't quite make the World Cup, but we gave the Euros a good go in real life. Cannot wait to hear more stories. Used to play Bartender in my old covers band. Tell you what, you've done the covers bands some good over the years, haven't you?
Yeah. Stereophonics, there's Monophonics, there's a few of them out there.
There are, aren't there? Stereophonics, aren't they? I've seen them a couple of times. Yeah. They're not bad.
No, they are good. I think there was one who had an overweight front man and he was called Belly Jones. I don't know if that's a true story, but that's what somebody told me.
That's good, isn't it? Right, so hurry up and wait there. That was the MASH parody video, wasn't it? So once again, you've got the money off the record label, haven't you?
Well, basically what we did was everybody was sending us video treatments for the songs, and like I did film school and all that, so I was into my films, and we never liked any of the video treatments because we saw the same video treatments go to every other band, and we didn't believe they were specifically written for the song. Yeah. So we were talking to one of the boys in V2, and I was Pinko, and he used to be the video commissioner, but he was a director as well. So we just started writing as many videos as we could with our favourite films that we liked, with 3 people in it. So it went from Apocalypse Now to
Italian Job,
Easy
Rider. Yeah.
Italian Job. We were the first people ever to allow back in Turin after the Italian Job. First film crew allowed back in there.
That must have been a great crack.
That was great. Driving around in minis all day. I had Sylvester Stallone's stunt double in my car.
Yes.
So he was the one who did Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And that one, Hurry Up and Wait was done on the bay in Sydney, where they were doing Mission Impossible 2. So they were a good laugh. They were cheap, man, because we were just filming them whichever city we were doing a gig in.
Yeah, that must have been a dream for you though, because of your background with the film stuff.
Yeah, it was brilliant. A
chance to be creative.
Yeah, it was really good. And Pinko was a good director, and normally they get dark by 4 o'clock, so you could get drunk and all night. It was fabulous. Yeah.
I've got a box set from about 10 years ago when we celebrated the 10th anniversary of this, and there's a little note from you in it talking about how you had to provide 6 songs for every single, right? Yeah. So as a punter buying music then, I was like, this is brilliant. It's like getting a little EP every time. Yeah. There's a pressure on you, isn't it?
Yeah, there was like a CD1 and a CD2, so you'd have the single, then another version of the single, and then 5 other songs or whatever. Yeah. So we were used to record them in hotel rooms, Neil Young covers, Bob Dylan covers, and all sorts of things. So it was a cool thing for fans. Yeah. Yeah.
There's Mr. Writer acoustic on that single as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I remember the sleeve, right, because it was a tube train in London.
Yeah.
Here's a test for you, right? See if the fans know more than you. Which tube train, which line?
Well, I don't know what tube line it was.
Who did that picture? Was that Scarlet Page as well? Because it looks quite similar to Performance Cocktail.
Well, what we used to do was we used to take lots of Polaroids travelling around and use a lot of them for the single shots and stuff like that. Julian, our mate from back home, we did a lot of the artwork with us, yeah. But Scarlet Page did the album cover, yeah.
I remember seeing you around that time as well. It was always great to see a Stereophonics show, because you had tunes early on, 2 albums in. Yeah. But you said a great thing to me in an interview about confidence, right? I was like, where did you get the confidence from, Kelly? And you said, I know that I could all be over tomorrow. I could walk in any pub in the country and people would pay 20 quid to hear me singing songs, even if it was covers.
Well, the songs, we were brought up playing in pubs and stuff, so we always found the art of the song was the most powerful thing. So when we were writing songs, we understood that all we ever wanted to do was leave a catalogue behind that stood the test of time, and here we are talking about something 20 years later, and we've always tried to make the albums sound as varied and different styles of music as we can, and I think this album particularly has got, it moves in and out of many different styles of music, which a lot of our contemporaries at the time, you put the first song on and it was the same to the last song, so we were just trying to do something different, really.
It wasn't always Thailand and Australia, though, in massive gigs. Just before that, only a couple of years before, you were in the AA van driving around with Rich, weren't you?
Yeah, we were still driving around the AA van now after that. But it was, the pubs and the clubs was how it all began, I think.
What's the elixir of youth, Kelly? You've been drinking something that's kept you young.
It's the Welsh water, I always say.
Oh, you're aging well, my friend.
Well, as you are. You know, we've got to try, haven't we?
It's the drink, Kelly.
You've got to try.
It's the drink. Now listen, pick apart. 200,000 copies sold. That was May '99. What kept it off number one? Can you remember?
No, I can't actually.
This blows my mind, right? That is an amazing tune, kept off by Shanks and Bigfoot's "Sweet Like Chocolate, Baby."
Is that right?
Yes.
I would have known that at the time.
I bet you would have done.
Wow, 200,000 singles. Those days are gone, aren't they?
It was number 4. Didn't get to number 1, right? 200,000 copies. That's mental, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely mental. So that was the Italian Job video, wasn't it?
That was the Italian Job video, and it was written the first time. I think we played the first spot on Reading stage. And Stuart had glandular fever and he couldn't come to America with us. So me and Richard went to New York for the first time and we stayed in the Gramercy Park Hotel. Yeah. And I wrote the song in there. It was kind of like walking into Kojak or something, you know, all those shows you watched as a kid, Cagney there, so you were looking at all these phones and barmen, and I just felt like I was inside a television set. So that was the first song I wrote over there, yeah.
It's another question I've always wanted to ask you and never have is, when you've got that song, right, who's the first person that you turn to and play it to? Is there somebody in your life all the way through that gets the first test?
In them days, it would just be literally Stuart and Richard, really. Yeah. I'd write the song, record her on a little cassette dictaphone at that point, and then they'd probably overhear me playing a lot of it on the tour bus around then, but these days I'd probably just send it to them on an email or something. But for a while, you know, like we were saying, it's something very personal and it's yours and you're enjoying it, and then you're not quite sure it's going to turn into a record. You're not sure if anybody else is going to like it, and then people start judging it, and then it kind of either falls apart or it grows and grows and grows, you know. So it's
that's
a funny
magical
phase,
period,
really.
Isn't it? A magical period, but just belongs to you. On all the songs on this album, is there one that you thought that's the one? And did it surprise you that another one you didn't think would be quite so big was a success?
I think Stop to Fill My Car Up, being the last song, was a song like I wrote on a piano, and I can't play the piano, but I could write a few songs in it. And Marshall, who's one half of Bird and Bush, who produced the record with us, he taught me how to play Imagine by John Lennon on the piano, and then I turned it back to front and wrote Stop to Fill My Car Up. But I had a little piano off a woman in an hairdresser's I swapped for a t-shirt, and it was like a Roald Dahl Twilight Zone episode in my head, and the song came out very fast, and it became like a massive fan favourite. We used to close the show with it, you know. He was like a bit of a Massive Attack kind of drum loop sort of sounds and stuff like that, but it didn't sound like anything else on the record. But I do remember playing that to Stuart for the first time. I was in Real World Studios and we were down there, and when you're in Real World, there's lots of other bands in other studios around you. So like Robert Plant might be in one, Johnny Marr might be in the other one, and Ethan Johns might be in the other one. And you all meet at dinner, you know. So you're having dinner with all these massive stars, and you know you're quiet in the corner. And I said, I've written a song on the piano, and he said, well, come and play it to me. And they made me go upstairs to like Peter Gabriel's like grand piano upstairs and play this song. and I just went, Stop to Fill My Car Up. And Stuart just started laughing. He goes, go on, play it then, go on. I said, no, that's it, that's just how it starts. And then he goes, all right, no, go on, start again. I'm sorry, but sorry, because he was tanked up. And then it became one of his favourites because he loves lyrics, Stuart, you know. So.
That's the thing in Performance and Cocktails as well. I heard a story, right, that you had forgotten about 2 tracks.
Yeah.
Was this one of them that was on the dictaphone, the missing dictaphone?
Bartender was one of them.
That was it, yeah.
Well, I record a lot, but I never listened back to a lot of it. So Bartender and Pick Apart, mm-hmm. They were on the B-side of this cassette I was working on, so I'm glad I found them, really, yeah. They were the two first singles, I think.
Yeah, you talk about having those greats in the studios around you, right? I remember Bono saying to me in an interview once that you're one of the greatest rock and roll voices of your generation, and Bob Dylan as well. Of the bands he's loved in recent years, Stereophonics are in there. Right? Where do you see yourself? Where do you think Stereophonics belong in that group of amazing talent?
Well, you know, for us as a band, or for me personally as a songwriter, I've only ever wanted to be like a band like Tom Petty or the Eagles or AC/DC, or, you know, bands that have this massive catalogue, or the Stones. You know, it was never about the kind of flamboyancy to any of it. I just wanted to make a catalogue of music, or the Kinks, you know, something that in 20, 30, 40 years time people are going to want to listen to again. And so I just wanted to kind of be that guy, you know, still able to go to the pub for a pint but play football stadiums, really, you know.
Always makes me, it's one of the games we play when we've got a drink in us, is what the Stereophonics would have sounded like if it had been Aled Jones and not Kelly Jones in a band, you know. Could you imagine the band with a different singer?
Yeah, he's a good lad, Aled.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
Could I imagine the band with a different singer? I don't know. I mean, a lot of what the songs are is the way that I sing. I mean, me and Adam were talking about this the other night, and that's the kind of the prize of it, and it's also the burden of it sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot to live up to sometimes, to carry on doing all this stuff 20 years later, but it keeps me on my toes.
Clips your wings with the partying anyway.
It does, yeah.
Loads of messages coming in for you, Kelly. Thanks for sending these. Remember, 83936 and at Radio X. It's a lovely message. Word gets around when I fell in love with Stereophonics. Performance and Cocktails was when my band released a new album for the first time. Late teens, on the loose with a driving licence, with friends, trying to play along. Both albums in my top 5, and that's from Owain, obviously in Wales. It's great.
Thank you very much. It's just, it's the same with us. We were driving around in cars listening to the Bends, or everybody had their albums. Yeah.
Another message here. I've been evicted to the kitchen because there's football on. Definitely not complaining though. This is one of my all-time favourite albums. That's from Louise.
Thank you very much. Watching the Leeds match?
Yeah, I should hope so. Yeah, I should hope so. 2-0 by the way, Kelly, isn't it?
Yeah, that's doing very well. My brother Kevin always used to say that to me. I thought I just ain't true. And I wouldn't believe your radio, so I pinched a few song titles off Kev.
And you don't miss the writer about a
journalist.
And
I rape and wait, I think.
Every time I hear those songs, I get paranoid thinking, are they about me?
No, that wasn't about you.
Okay, that's a relief. No. Kelly, some lovely messages for you. Kelly Jones, greatest voice ever, and Performance and Cocktails, the greatest album ever. Thanks for creating such a timeless masterpiece, from Helen.
Well, it's very kind of her.
2 kisses from her as well.
Thank you very much.
Outrageous. 2 back there. Yeah. Chris Elkins, first gig with Stereophonics 98. Can believe I'm now listening 20 years of Performance and Cocktails classic. Does the 20 years thing throw you a little bit?
Well, we've never really done much anniversary stuff. We always kind of keep on going forward, but it's a lot has happened in that 20 years. It doesn't feel like a long time, but when you add up all the stuff that's gone on in that time, there's a lot in it. So,
awful lot, awful lot. Sitting in the car on the drive, just listening to Kelly, could do with a bit longer with them actually. Forever my favourite band. I was front row at Rise Festival last year, best night of my life. Cried my eyes out the whole time. From Henna and Essex, just tears, no kisses.
Just tears. Well, as long as you make them laugh, make them cry, make them wait, Gordon, you're doing something right.
A question from Gaz. It's a short question, and we're putting you under pressure here. Question for Kelly. Glastonbury, is it happening?
Well, they never asked us back after the first time. Well, we didn't know. We did it 3 times.
What did you do to deserve that?
Sorry, I'll rephrase that. We started off at 10:30 in the Sunday morning.
Yep.
And then we got to midday on a Saturday, just before Robbie did the Big Angels thing. And then we headlined the Pyramid on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And that's it, really. We've never had the request back. I don't think many people ever have done it twice, have they, apart from Coldplay and Muse?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that.
Not many people have been doing it twice, so
maybe
we'd like to do it, because I can't quite remember the first time. It was massive.
Have you noticed that a lot of it was missed the first time round?
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of it. It's going so fast. When you're doing Wembley Stage, you've been doing headlining. The year we headlined Glastonbury, we headlined Slane Castle, the V Festival, and Glastonbury within about 2 months of each other.
Yeah.
And our agent said, you don't want to do all 3 because, you want to space it out a bit. I said, well, they might not ask us back, and I was right.
I remember reading a great interview with John Entwistle from The Who, and he could remember his career based on his shoes.
Yeah.
Right, so he had about 20 million pairs, right enough. But it was funny, I was asked earlier on, can you ask Kelly about his leather jackets? First question, does he keep them? And second of all,
Well, it's true, because when we have to look through all the archive photographs to actually, like something went online this week to mark Performance and Cocktails era, you only recognise it by the clothes you're wearing, really. Because at this time we were just buying clothes in second-hand shops, second-hand leather jackets and hoods. We looked like a bunch of undercover cops going round, to be honest, Stu.
Drug squad, CID.
Yeah, we did, yeah. We looked narcotics,
Excellent stuff. Haircuts as well, that's the other time, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we tried to have... I had most of my bad haircuts before we got assigned. I had a lot of big Pearl Jam long hair before that, but yeah, I dreamt that one.
Did you?
I was when I was still living in my mother's house when we were touring Word Gets Around. Yeah. I just bought a 1968 Gibson SG in a shop in Cardiff, Cranes, and I think I saw George Harrison play that day in a video. For some reason I went to bed and I had Ringo Starr and James Dean Bradfield whistling that song on my mother's doorstep, and I got up in the middle of the night and recorded it in my pants.
No way.
It worked out.
That's amazing, that, isn't
it?
I love those stories.
I haven't dreamt many, but I did dream that one.
Somebody told me that when you write lyrics to a song, it comes out in one go. Like, you don't go back to it's there.
A lot of them, yeah. I mean, the good ones, the ones that people have remembered, they've often come out in one bash. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lovely message here as well. Another one. The album I would go round and round the block 10 times singing with my 3-year-old. We did it again this weekend.
Yeah.
He's 23 years old.
Wow.
That's from Ange. She's been to 100+ gigs, and there's kisses and all sorts of emojis in there.
Well, thank you very much for the support. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
23-year-old, amazing. I wonder if those songs are programmed in that young man's head as well, eh?
Well, you look out in the gigs now, and there's like 15-year-olds in the front row, and it goes back to people who's been following us since back in the day. So it has turned into 2-3 generations of people. It's brilliant.
That blew my mind at Cardiff Uni when we were down there last year. Like 4 generations, a granny on someone's shoulders.
I know, it's mental.
Quality stuff. Right, I'm going to take you back to 1999, Mr. Jones. Hey boy, hey girl. Good time for music, wasn't it?
Wow.
I think that's when Graham Coxon was having a bit of a bother with the drink as well.
Yeah.
Foos. And we've got to get some hip hop in there as well, but Snoop.
Supergrass.
It's of the time, isn't it?
Chili's.
Pub quiz.
Yeah.
I suppose Eminem just happened, didn't he, really? 99, 2000. Ian Brown solo, it was Golden Greats, wasn't it? It's a great time, 1999, for music, wasn't it?
We did the Chili Peppers Californication tour with them.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. And Chad, the drummer, he used to stand on the side of the stage watching us every night, and his drum kit was set up behind Stuart's drum kit with a sheet over it, like when you open up for somebody. And we were doing Tramps West one night, and I thought there's a funny echo in the room. I can hear 2 drums, and I turned around and Chad had ripped the sheet off, and he was playing drums behind Stuart. So, and then we went back in the dressing room, and we were excited, and we were playing like Highway to Hell by AC/DC, and it was really loud. And Flea and Anthony was, I think, meditating in another room. So we had a big, knock on the door from the tour manager, who was a female, to keep the noise down. But it was Chad actually in our dressing room. And Chad, this is no word of lie, man, Chad took the door and he broke the door over his knee. And I said, I'm getting out here. And I went to catering, I came back, and there was a little bloke on the floor with a dustpan and brush, and another bloke with a calculator.
It's absolutely outstanding. It's funny, you were the soundtrack to our lives, 1999, but what were you listening to? What was the stuff that was inspiring you?
1999, I was listening to Supergrass. I loved that Blur track, Tender. Misadventures of Lauryn Hill was out as well around that, wasn't it?
Would have been,
that was a great record. I remember seeing her in New York. She was amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the same stuff. Radiohead,
A very quick question then. Of all the bands around at that time, and you could be in one, I'm the genie with your magic wish. Which band would you have been in?
Were the Strokes out by then?
I think that was 2001. So you got to choose again.
Probably Supergrass then.
Supergrass. Fair shout. Mark Oldman says one of the go-to albums when you don't know what to listen to. Choice paralysis. Superb album. First Solomon 99 as well.
Fantastic. I like that. My goal was to go to Tom Petty, but there you go.
Kelly, where is the weirdest place in the world that you've heard one of your songs?
Aberdare Dentist, 1999. And I had to go in there for a fill-in or something, and just as he was sticking that needle in and injecting me with whatever they inject you with to send you off, that bend in the guitar Just Looking came on. So that was, and he goes, "You won't feel a thing," he said.
I could ask so many things. My brother's a dentist, and he says the worst thing that can come on is Cisco, the thong song, when you've got a pensioner underneath it. I'll give you a nice little feeling here in that tune.
I love the end of that. That's my favourite drum part at the end of that, with the 3 of us playing together.
It's lovely stuff.
Great.
Kelly, here's another message for you. The Stereophonics have provided the soundtrack to my life. I've been to countless gigs. They're easily the best live band on the circuit. Got the pleasure of taking my 8-year-old twice last year, and he's become just as big a fan as I am. T-shirt Suntan's my favourite tune on Performance and Cocktails. Would love to hear it on the next tour. Dave and West Coic. I mean, how do you leave some of these tunes out? We get asked that a lot.
Yeah, we haven't played T-shirt Suntan for a long time, but I've known Jamie's been telling me there's been a lot of love for that online this week, so I'll have to dust that one off, I think, and get it out there.
Why did you drop them? Is it just because...
Well, it's just it's 10 albums, and you can only play for like 2 hours and a bit, so you can't fit them all in. So each album, I guess, you kind of keep the big hitters and move forward, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep sending your messages in 83936 at Radio X and use the hashtag Phonics Radio X. A couple of questions here. Liam in Birkenhead, he says, if you could take any song from any of your other albums and add it to Performance and Cocktails, which song would you pick to enhance it? Good question, Liam.
I guess maybe Mr. Writer
Yes.
I think that could have probably fitted on there. It was written very much on that Performance and Cocktails tour, so it wasn't long after it was written. Yeah.
It's an acoustic version, it's a B-side on one side, isn't it?
So that could have maybe made it on there.
Good tune. About horrible journalists.
About one horrible journalist, singular, not plural.
Still holding that one.
No, I am still holding it, yeah. I mean, it was a song that took 15 minutes, but it took me about 20 years to explain.
Right, as a fellow guitarist who has covered many Stereophonics tracks over the years, what's Kelly's favourite guitar? There was always going to be a guitar question. That's David from Flitwick.
Well, I guess the guitar I was known for, and the one I was always wanting to save up to buy when I was a kid, is the Gibson SG, which obviously I wanted to get one because of Angus Young and AC/DC, so that's my go-to. Yeah.
What's your most prized possession in the guitar stakes? Is there one that you wouldn't like me to steal?
Probably that one, the first one I bought with my own money, because I had lots of copies and used to cut out the Gibson logo out of guitar magazines and masking tape them onto the top of cheap guitars. But then when we had the first album, I went into Cardiff and bought myself a proper Gibson. So, and then it got wrapped around a swivel chair in the studio by one of the leads, and the head got snapped off. So I've had it glued back about 2-3 times. So that's the wounded soldier, that one.
Has anybody bought you or gifted you a guitar?
Well, after that, like I say, the first 2-3 albums, all the guitars we bought ourselves. Went to New York, 48th Street, buy your first Les Paul and all that. Chicago, you buy your first Fender Stratocaster, but then after a bit, certain companies like Fender or Gretsch, they start giving you guitars and stuff like that to work on TV shows, and then, but they're amazing to have, but they never feel like the one you save for yourself. It's a bit like, that's why I never bought a lottery ticket, because I wanted to make my own kind of luck, really.
What's the one that sits in the house that you should go to write on?
I've got a little Tanglewood in the house, which is, my old man bought me that for 60 quid in Merthyr Music before, about 1994, and I wrote all of Word Guess Around and Performance Cocktails on there, and it's a bit of a dog to play, but it's written a lot of songs, that guitar.
God, that's got to be the most valuable one, really, isn't it? Sentimental. I
suppose it have, yeah, because it did literally, there's footage of me on tour buses writing, just looking and stuff like that with that guitar. I didn't really think about it till the other day, but that is probably the one that's got the most stories, I guess.
I should point out there are 6 Alsatians in Kelly's house this evening, and an amazing state-of-the-art security system. Kelly, a nice message here from Mark in North Wales. A minute longer, my favourite song. This song was so underrated. Much love for it. What's your review of it? Do you think it's one that's maybe overlooked?
I love the performance on Minute Longer. At the time, I guess, every Friday night we'd put on A Nod's As Good As A Wink by the Faces, and that was our party album, really, and when we were recording. And A Minute Longer, it's got that kind of Wurlitzer thing. And we never did that on the first record, but it was a very Faces kind of sound, and Marshall Bird, who's one half of Bird and Bush, who produced the record, he played that really great on that. But we never really played it live, probably once or twice. Yeah. So
Kelly Jones is smiling like a naughty boy. Yep. Is that your Mrs. Robinson track?
Well, there's stories to be told about that song, but it's probably not best to do them on air.
Right.
But it was an interesting, lots of interesting characters in that village I grew up in.
Shall we move on, Kelly?
Yes.
Right. Here's a message from Nata. Lovely little messages. Having Stereophonics as your favourite band makes you feel like you're part of a very exclusive club when you hear the songs on the radio in particular. Thank you, Kelly, for making music for all occasions and moods, for all of the stories over the years as well. You guys truly rock. Love
Thank
Hearts, Rock and Roll Hands, all that carry on from. Thank you, Nata.
Thank you very much.
Now, Kelly, I'm writing a book, /Gordon. Can't believe I've not pestered you with this before.
Yeah.
It's about rock and roll encounters in the bathroom with famous people. Do you have a story to add to the book, please?
I got 2 that come to mind, actually. There was one, I was doing a TV show, and Tony Bennett was on the TV show.
Yes.
And I went into the toilet. I kind of followed him to the toilet, really, because my old man was a massive Tony Bennett fan, and I loved him. And I went to the toilet, I closed the door, and all the door was kind of like wood paneling. It was like in an old theatre in West End.
Yeah.
Like an old Channel 5 TV show. And he was having a pee, and I was on a pee next to him. And then he turned round, and he just looked, and he's like, "Where's the door, man?" And because you couldn't define which one was the door, so I had to actually help Tony Bennett out of the toilet, and he's giving me a little autograph, so he was nice.
That's amazing.
But the big one, I suppose, comes to mind. We just played the Toxic Twin Towers show with Aerosmith in Wembley Stadium, and you got to remember, about 12 months before, we were playing pubs, and we were on the bill with the Black Crowes and Lenny Kravitz, and we were playing covers by all these bands 6 months before, so and the next day, the next day we had to play Café de Paris with Jimmy Page and everybody. It was a big charity event, and Billy Duffy from the Cult and Aerosmith were there. We did a set, the Black Crowes did a set. So I mean, we were blown away. These were all our favourite bands. And I went for a pee, and Tyler was in the cubicle, kind of leaning forward like that, and he was doing a slash, and I thought, I looked in, I said, "Hey Stephen," I said, "thanks for us having on the bill today." And he goes, "Stereophonics?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh man, it's a pleasure, it's a pleasure." I said, "Oh, thanks very much." And I had a carried on with what I was doing, and he went out, and as I opened the door, my girlfriend at the time, Emma, I was going out with since I was like 14, she was standing against the wall with her head like this. I said, "What's the matter with you?" She said, I asked him could I shake his hand, and he pinned me against the wall and stuck his tongue in my mouth.
Steve Tyler from Aerosmith. You snogged him.
Yeah, no, she did.
Oh, she did. Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, she was very windswept when I came out. Yeah.
Because actually, Steven Tyler, you feature in another story.
Me?
Yeah, at the Brit Awards, there was a dust up in the toilets, and apparently Steven Tyler walked out as a fight was kicking off. The cooks were involved, you were there, and Steve Tyler just came out and went, "Hey guys, just calm down." And you were involved in the ruckus.
Well, I might have been. I've got another story regarding the toilet and a ruckus, actually. That was with Peter Hook.
Yeah?
Yeah. This was one of my first ever Q Awards, and I didn't know who Peter Hook was in the toilet, right? Yeah. And he said, "Oh, I love the band," and I said, "Oh, cheers." And he goes, "No, I know." I said, "Hi, cheers, hi," and I just carried on. And he goes, "Do you not know who I am?" And I go in, "No, I don't. I was brought up with like AC/DC and all that." Yeah. I said, "Why?" And he goes, "You've been funny, mate." What? I said, "No." And then he kind of pushed me against the wall. I said, "No, genuinely, man, I don't know who you are." I said, "I'm not being funny. I'm sorry, but I was brought up with like the Eagles and all that. I didn't have the Joy Division collection. I love it now, but I didn't."
Mate, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that scared me to death. That did.
Well, you're one of my Slash Gordons as well, because we had a night out in Camden many moons ago, and you had a massive scrap of the bouncer, and I ended up covered in your blood. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got your DNA in my shirt somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
that was a dark night.
That was a dark night.
That was a dark night. Anyway, what a beauty of a tune that is.
I love that one. Yeah, it's good bass line in that, Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Got to give everyone a nod, really, haven't we, for
we
that
have,
time as well? And Stuart, of course, who we have to mention.
Well, you know, the three of us were like three brothers, so it was an amazing period of time, and V2 Records obviously were amazing, and Bird and Bush, they found us in the borderline, so as a unit, we put out some good stuff.
It's amazing you think about that, and you've got amazing stories to recall with those boys.
Yeah.
But to see the messages tonight, thanks very much to them as well. 83936 and at Radio X, keep them coming in. It's hard to get through them all. There's one particular message here from Travis, and it kind of catches the theme of a lot of the songs. His dad had a brain tumour, had an operation, and lost a lot of his memory. And he said to him tonight when he was talking to him that he's got Kelly Jones coming in, and he just said Dakota.
Really?
So the last thing he did with his dad before he had an operation was go to karaoke, and he sang Dakota.
No way.
And it's like it's programmed into people's lives, really emotional stories, which must touch you.
Music is really, you know, like we were talking about, man, it's a very, very powerful thing, and it takes you to many places in your mind, doesn't it? You know, it's incredible, really.
You're of a generation in this band where a lot of your career together has been filmed, right? So since '96 there's good footage, so it leads on to the question that there must be a supersonic style Coldplay movie, you know.
We are making a film. We've been making a film for 25 years. Everything that we've ever done has been filmed, and we've been collaborating with Ben Lowe, does a lot of the BBC shorts and stuff like that, so we're piecing it together. The editing is the difficult part because there's so much footage, you know.
Where'd you start?
Well, we're trying to work out where the beginning is, really. Do you start at the end and then go back to the beginning? But it's an ongoing story in it, but it's some amazing footage in it. You know, we've had, you know, especially when we started out in like the Columbia Hotel and all stuff like that. It's amazing how much is on film, really.
That's a picture that I love of you with Tom Jones in the Met Bar, is it?
Yeah.
He's got a massive cigar on, a glass of champagne, but you've got like tracksuits on.
We got like you know, those 90 woolen jumpers that always had the different colour, two-tone shoulders and stuff.
It's terrible stuff. Kings of Leon came in not long ago, and they told this great story about how they have to censor their lyrics for their kids, right? Obviously their socks are on fire.
Yeah.
Are there songs that you're going to have to maybe have a different view of when they ask, Dad, listen, what's that tune all about? She takes her clothes off, Dad. What's that all about?
Yeah, my daughters have come to a few shows. When we do Superman, there's a few F's and blinds in that one, and I do kind of duck off the mic a bit when it does become a little bit embarrassing at that point. But now they're at the age where they kind of understand it, so I've got over that little lump now.
Yeah. Well, we've looked back 20 years, Kelly. Can we just have a little look ahead before you go tonight? You know, what's in store? What can we see from you in the next year?
Well, we've got a bunch of festivals and gigs coming up in May, obviously, which we've put up on sale and stuff. So that's just, what else are we doing? We'll start recording a new album next week, so I'm excited about that. We're doing that with George Drakoulias, who did a lot of the Primal Scream and Black Crowes, Tom Petty stuff. So we're going to do that, and hopefully we can get something out at the end of this year, with all going well. But the songs are all written, so it's just a matter of capturing it all now.
I haven't seen you since Chaos from the Top Down. You know, it sounds like you've got a lot to write about.
Yeah, I mean, that was a track I'd written about a year ago, and I demoed it with a few different people, and it was just sitting there really, and there was so much going on in the news. I just thought, well, if it doesn't come out now, I don't really know when it's going to go out. So, thankfully, this station particularly played that a lot for us. So it was, it's you'd write about what's going on, and I've always done that. It's just another song really.
You've got a young daughter, birthday party at the weekend. Is this your Peppa Pig album?
I haven't got that yet. No, I haven't got that.
Is that doing your head in at the moment, all that stuff? Or are you secretly quite enjoying it?
Well, she's into a lot of different stuff, really. She's into Morph at the minute, and I'm into that.
Morph's great.
Yeah, Morph's all right. The problem with Morph is you've got to keep pressing play every minute and a half, because it's not on for very long. But it does take me back to Tony Hart. I quite like Morph and Chas, you know.
Oh, the cracking lads, aren't they? Well, listen, Kelly, thanks so much for this tonight.
For us.
It's nice looking back over 20 years. We've got one last question that's been asked a million times tonight.
Yeah.
Pick one song. What's your favourite from Performance and Cocktails?
Probably Plastic California.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool track to play live. We don't play it live very often. And
this is a recurring theme, Kelly.
It is. And Hurry Up and Wait is another one. Yeah. But apart from that, they're all right. That's a good record.
Well, listen, Kelly, thanks so much for tonight. Massively appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Cheers for the tunes. Cheers for the memories.
Thank you. Thanks for the support. Brilliant.
And of course, the memories that I can't remember.
Yes, well, they are the most important ones to forget, aren't they?
The one and only Kelly Jones. Remember, follow the conversation. #Phonics Radio X. Kelly was our guest tonight, and I'm sure this will appear somewhere digitally for you to enjoy if you missed some tonight.
Radio X.